They're spending millions and millions of dollars. There is absolutely no collusion. I didn't make a phone call to Russia. I have nothing to do with Russia. Everybody knows it. That was a Democrat hoax. It was an excuse for losing the election, and it should have never been this way, where they spent all these millions of dollars.
That's President Trump again reiterating no collusion with Russia and trying to actually get things done in that swamp called Washington, like tax cuts. But joining me now to battle it all out, my star political panel for the night, former Secret Service agent and best-selling author Dan Bongino, along with former aide to Senator Chuck Schumer, radio talk show host Chris Hahn. All right, guys, this week, if you listen to my opening statement, you'll realize that I believe that we got motive, we got context to all of those texts and things and actions that people said, well, that was benign, it didn't mean anything. But now we know that these people wanted to stop Donald Trump from becoming the president, and once he became, they decided that with counterintelligence operatives that they would start the Trump-Russia collusion thing, which, by the way, is not a crime. So, Chris, I will let you start.
Well, look. I think the worst thing that could happen right now is for the president or anybody who supports him to try to interfere with the Mueller investigation.
What Mueller investigation?
Look, there's an investigation going on. Let it play out. Let the chips fall where it may. And if it goes off in a tangent like Ken Starr did, it won't be that big of a deal.
Well,
but
it is a tangent. I'll tell you why it's a tangent, because they got Manafort on tax with Gates, and then they've got Mike Flynn for lying, having nothing to do.
We don't know exactly why Mike Flynn pled guilty, and we're going to find out why he pled guilty
to lying to them. Right.
That was the lower
Bongino hit
crime.
it. Dan hit it.
Yeah, Chris, here's where you're wrong on this, Chris. I always love debating you, but you're always wrong, unfortunately. This is not an investigation anymore, Chris. This is an inquisition. As the judge set up in the opening statement, and she's correct, if the investigation is founded on the premise that this is going to be strictly a political operation, not a law enforcement one, based on the texts of two of the lead investigators in the case, or I should say a lead investigator and his mistress, who was a lawyer, who already admitted in their text, that they were looking for some kind of, quote, insurance policy because it's too big of a risk. The whole investigation is corrupted.
I love debating you, too. We have a good time together. But I got to tell you something. You sounded an awful like I did in 1998. Okay, so let's just let it play out.
You're the one who says the past doesn't matter. You want to tell me why people in the FBI are talking about an insurance policy in case that menace Donald Trump wins? What does that tell you?
Are these people robots?
Wait.
Do they not have opinions?
Go ahead, Dan.
No, Chris, hold on. I'm allowed a rebuttal. You are a judge, right? I'm allowed a rebuttal here, okay? Chris, here's the difference. Whitewater and all that stuff that happened with the Clintons actually happened, okay? I agree with you. Let me point stipulated. I don't like special counsels either, Chris. But don't deny that Whitewater, Travelgate, all that stuff.
Nobody came out with those crimes, though.
Chris, that stuff, that's fine, but it actually happened. The problem I have with this, Chris, is you can sit on this show right now. You cannot look in the camera. I challenge you right now. I'll fly up to New York tonight and dump $100 in your wallet if you can look into the camera and lay out what crime Donald Trump committed. Go ahead, do it right now.
Hey, I am going to let Mueller determine what crime was committed.
Because
all the people who are complaining about Mueller,
is Russia collusion a crime?
You said he was a great guy when he got appointed.
Is Russia collusion a crime? Russia collusion is not a crime.
If you are working with a foreign government to influence this election, you have committed a crime.
Really? Go ahead, Dan.
Foreign governments are not allowed to participate in our elections.
Okay, Chris, let me try this again. I'll fly up to New York tonight and give you $1,000 if you can show me an ounce of evidence that Donald Trump colluded with the Russians to win the election. Just give me anything.
Dan, I've read your books. You need your money more than I do. Please keep
What?
it.
My books were bestsellers.
Come on, hold on to that
money. Be quiet, Chris. All right, let's move on. Let's move on to something that's moving backwards, but it's just coming out now because they hide everything.
Right.
Now, Hillary and her girlfriend, Uma, are allowed to walk out of the State Department. We hear this with 5 boxes of information. So what Hillary didn't delete, get rid of with bleach bit, or destroy with a hammer, she carries out of the State Department. How is this allowed to happen, Dan?
Judge, I was a former investigator. This is the craziest thing I've ever heard. Let me double down on you. Not only that, Judge, when they go in and interview them about the email scandal, they give them back the computers.
Yep.
I mean, what kind of, Judge, you're familiar with chain of custody and evidence, right? You give them the crime, if this was a murder weapon case, right? Do you give the gun back to the murderer and go, hey, by the way, keep this for us for a court date later? This is the dumbest thing I have ever heard.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Okay, why are they allowed to take things out?
She did have some photos on the wall. Give her a break. We don't know where in those boxes.
Photos on the wall.
Conspiracy nonsense.
Let me tell you, the idea that you destroyed 33,000 emails of yoga classes, which she apparently didn't go to, and her daughter's wedding, okay, is ridiculous. You know, and I know it.
You plan the wedding. You know how hard it is to plan a wedding.
Yeah, and I did it in no time. No, it's not such a big deal. And you know what? If you use money from the Clinton Foundation to pay for the wedding, it's even easier.
Come on now.
All right, no, you come on.
There's no evidence.
All right,
give me one.
You know what? You show me.
Give you $1,000 if you promote some evidence.
Show me one iota of evidence that this Clinton Foundation was properly structured, and every attorney general who is not corrupted part of it is looking at it.
I can say this, Mr. President, and everybody else who's watching tonight, let it play out. Let's see where it goes. Any attempt to make anything go away is going to make it worse. We saw what happened in Alabama, and look.
No, we're not talking about Alabama. We're talking about evidence.
It has a lot to do with it.
Now, Dan, let me ask you this. Mueller apparently calls GSA and says, I want documents from the Trump transition team because they had been apparently working in GSA offices, documents that some are protected by presidential privilege, attorney-client privilege. Mueller doesn't go about getting subpoenas and doing what he's supposed to do. He just bullies his way in and gets it. Why do you think Mueller would do that?
Well, because this is not a properly conducted investigation. Again, it's an inquisition, and if I would have done this as a federal agent, I'd probably be fired for running an improper investigation. Judge, nothing's right about this case. We have a president right now who's been a victim of an unprecedented unmasking scandal. Six-figure sums paid to people to make up sexual harassment charges, a litany of fake news charges, an improper investigation, corrupted officials on the inside who hate Donald Trump, and Chris still defends this disaster.
Okay, but you know what, Dan, I have to tell you, I mean, you couldn't write this. You couldn't write a book like this. No one would believe it would happen. And Chris, last word, we got 5 seconds.
I think that there's a lot going on here. There's a lot to unpack. I think the special counsel is going to get to the bottom of it. I think the Strzok thing proves that he's an honest guy. He removed him when he saw that he might be biased.
There's nothing to unpack.
Why did he remove his Gumad's Lisa Page?
There's a reason why the Deputy Attorney General says that this is going well. And the Deputy Attorney General is appointed by the President.
Dan, finish.
There's nothing to unpack, Con. It's a scam. Wake up. Take the blinders off. Gosh,
Dan Bongino, Chris Hahn, thanks so much. And from the usual celebrity suspects to a local politician, I heard some outrageous things this week. And joining me next to talk about all of it is Michael Pirro. You're going to love this segment. Stay with us.